Hello and welcome back to Toxic, the podcast about pop culture. We mine pop culture topics to teach us lessons about modern life and modern values. I am Leah, one of the co-hosts, joined by,
Shalina.
and this week we have a pretty infamous woman that we'll be talking about. We're going to be breaking down what may or may not be toxic about this person. But just to ease us into why we do this. I think we should probably put a little context around that. What do you think?
I completely agree because actually, this is the first time we focused on a woman. And
Yeah.
not that women aren't toxic. I mean, come on, we're not that biased. We know women are toxic too. But I don't know, it kind of seems different to be picking apart and criticizing our fellow women because
Yes, we do try to be very mhm,
we believe in sister solidarity and all our sisters, not just
right.
sisters that are of the same nationality or ethnicity or culture. It's like, let's not pick each other apart. There's enough of that. But we got to do it today. So we thought we should kind of talk more about why we're being critical anyway, because I think we both agree, and we may like touch on this for each podcast, that being critical in nature and picking people apart is kind of not the way to live life, you know?
I think, yeah, totally. I totally agree. So yeah, we don't want to just be talking about people to be talking about them. What we're doing is really bringing the new archetypes and our modern day myths to life. Like we're trying to correlate the people that our society idolizes with some of the degradation we see happening in modern society. Like they are not unrelated. And so that's what this whole podcast is all about, is bringing to life the sort of negative values that we have and trying to point them out and point how sometimes they're fed to us.
Exactly. And we always want to kind of like point out that picking things apart is not something that, is that you should aspire to. Like that's not I don't know, it's not
A
I
virtue in
mean,
itself.
yeah, exactly. It's not a virtue in itself. And I love that Brene Brown has made that famous message speech. Some people call it a poem that Theodore Roosevelt said back in the 20s when I guess he was in Paris for some reason, and it's called Man in the Arena. And it before he um said his like main message that most people know, he kind of addressed the crowd and he talked about that the poorest way to face life is to face it with a sneer. And that if you have a
Mhm.
cynical habit of thought and speech and a readiness to criticize work, which the critic himself never tries to perform, if you have like what he would call an intellectual aloofness, which will not accept life's realities. He says that those are marks of not superiority, but of weakness. And then he went
Oh
on to
wow.
talk, yeah, I know, right?
Harsh.
I know, a little harsh, but he had a point. And then he also kind of went on to talk, and the famous about it was like, it's not the critic who counts, it's the man in the arena. It's the people who are out there, living life boldly, trying new things, building something, making a difference, not being scared, not
Yeah.
hiding, not being scared to be criticized and to shine and to just be fully who they are. And we applaud that and appreciate that, right? Um,
Sure, like the doers doing, not just the critics critiquing.
right, exactly. So we want to, and like I consider you, a creator and an artist because you're a writer. And so we
Mhm.
like artists and we
We
understand how
champion
hard
them.
it is to put yourself out there.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It takes a lot of courage and a bravery that's not always celebrated by the world. And even when it is, that calls attention to you, that can be negative. But we do think that, yeah, that it's important. I don't want to take your point away from you. So you make whatever point you were going to make. But yeah, also, that's not what we're trying to do.
No, we're not trying to do that. We are not trying to do that at all. And kind of this is like the first thing that we're really putting out there publicly. And so we don't want to be known for the rest of our life. And we're not aspiring to be critics per se, or to even be pop cultural critics. But what we want to do is say, listen, I think you said this to me years ago. We were talking about how celebrities are kind of the new demigods or the new, um, we mythologize them. And
Yeah,
especially young people, but I think actually adults fall into this trap too. Idolize these people, look up to them. These people form their opinions, their value systems, what they are going after in their life. And like, someone needs to be on the sideline saying, hey, wait a second, is this really what we are um promoting and elevating
yeah,
and worshiping? Because really, being a celebrity lover is kind of it's idolatry. There it is.
yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for. It's idolatry.
There
And
you
like,
go.
are these
Yeah,
really the idols we should have? And who's
yeah,
promoting these people? Are these really who we naturally idolize? Are these people being pushed upon us and imposed on us and elevated as some like great thing as a way to kind of make us a degenerate people in a degenerate culture? Oh Lord, now I'm getting all up,
yeah. Okay. Well, no, no. That's we appreciate all of the fervor for this topic because it's true that well, everything you said is true. But specifically the end there, we're talking about people who are sort of foisted on us, and the power that that it comes with, right? Like because being a celebrity today is different because they're also very pointedly influencers. Where of course celebrities have always been influencers, right? They've been always influenced culture and people's buying habits like from the very beginning, right? Like women in the beginning of Hollywood, what is that, the 20s, right? The 20s, um
Yeah,
became famous, and
with the
then
talkies.
when like color came to things, people would want to buy, they'd want to dress like their favorite characters that they would see either in movies or on television, and that's true until today. But today they have a much bigger platform and they very outrightly can make a living as an influencer, and influencers are celebrities and celebrities are influencers. It's this whole weird sort of gross thing, which is
Right.
exactly why Kim is our kind of our mascot for this theme.
Yes, I mean, should have we had a drum roll because you just kind of dropped who this person who we would like to kind of examine today is. And for the people who missed it, okay, who's our person? Who are we talking about today?
Kimberly Kardashian.
Yes,
Formerly
Kim
Kimberly
K.
Kardashian, yes, yes, lightning rod of a human being. Some love her, some hate her, some both, some don't care. I mean, but no matter what, at this point, if you're a human on Earth between certain ages, like you have heard of this human being,
Right, we
and you
have.
probably have an opinion. Yeah,
Probably, unless
which
you
is wild.
truly are living a Zen life way above the fray. So okay, why today? Like she's been this like did she do anything today? What's going on? Okay, well
Well,
this
so
week. Oh, you tell.
yeah. Well, no, no, you definitely tell, but I just wanted to say, like, uh, yeah, she's always in the news. Why today? What is so significant about this time?
Well, recently, as in a couple days ago, Princess Diana, a piece of necklace that she famously wore, and apparently she's the only person who's ever been photographed in it. And the only person who's worn it for, I don't know, the past 50 years or whatever. This piece of jewelry, it's a giant amethyst cross surrounded by 5 carats, a little bit over 5 carats in diamonds. And she's been, Princess Diana was photographed in it, going to a banquet when I almost said when she was live, of course, when she was live. And it came up for auction, and Kim bought it. She won the bidding
Hmm.
war. I think she paid a little bit under 200,000 US dollars for it. And so that kind of, she's in the news for that, which is not that big of a deal. But to me, it was a little bit interesting because between her buying Princess Diana's famous, I think it's called the Atola cross or something like that. You guys can look it up.
Hmm.
Also, the whole hoopla around her wearing Marilyn Monroe's famous dress and possibly ripping it. And then something I didn't know, but today I did a little bit of sleuthing and no, or maybe you told me. I can't
I
remember.
told you. It's Michael Jackson's Thriller jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, with
That she
North.
bought it for North. Yeah, in 2019. Which I
So
believe they said he only wore for the video. So like basically North has worn it more than he ever did. So but I could be
my
wrong about that part.
my
Sorry.
well, anyway, it's like, okay, that's interesting. Like, what is this about? Why? And you had an interesting question earlier today. You said, is she a celebrity worshiper? Like, what is this about? What is she doing? So let's talk about
Yeah.
that.
Do you want to talk about that now? Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Like, is that weird? Is that sick? Do you
Yeah,
think
so
that?
I always yeah, go ahead. What do you
No,
think
no,
she's what?
that's it. That's enough.
That's it. Okay. Well, my opinion is something's going on there. I don't know how sinister it is. It could be just a need to feel close, but I think it's very interesting. I don't, to me, Kim doesn't seem like much of a fangirl. I mean, sometimes there are things that she's a fan of, I think. The truth is, I don't watch the show, let's be honest. I've seen interviews with this person. I definitely know who this human being is. She's been foisted on me in ways that I can't. I don't even register sometimes anymore, right? So, but I can't actually pinpoint, like what her true likes and dislikes are. So I don't know who she talks about that much, but I feel like I don't hear her talk about old celebrities that much, right? Like that doesn't really get you trending. You talk about people who are making, waves right now. So I'm always surprised that she buys these things, and because of that surprise, I've noticed that they usually, it seems like the pattern would be that they are people who are no longer with us.
And you
Icons who are no longer with us. Yes, sorry.
and you think that's especially strange?
I do think it's kind of interesting because I guess that's who you buy stuff of. Except I don't know. To me, it does seem like she wants to possess something of theirs for some reason. And you had some interesting thoughts on why. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Do you
I'll
remember?
try to make it quick. And I don't know which one.
Okay.
Are you talking about the witchy part of it or the
No, no. I mean the idea of wanting to put yourself on the level of.
Oh, yeah, I do. I think she is reaching for iconic status. I think it's not enough for her to be rich, famous, powerful, and influential for being a celebrity, a talentless, and I
Hmm.
don't mean that in a mean way. There's sometimes where I can say that and I mean it to be cutting and biting, but I just mean it to be accurate. She's a mastermind for sure. I'm sure she works her butt
Yes.
off. She's clearly a visionary in the sense that she has a vision for her life and she's meeting it and she's very potent. Meaning, a lot of people have visions for their life, but they're impotent to bring them forth. She has done that. She wanted to be a superstar. She wanted to be known worldwide. She wanted to be revered and looked up to and be considered the pinnacle of female beauty. And she is now. I mean, she is.
Yeah.
That's
She
she.
did it.
So in that way,
She did
she
it.
is a an icon. She will probably not be an icon, in my opinion. I could be completely wrong. Who holds up to the test of time because she doesn't actually have a talent besides being a mastermind and a visionary. She doesn't sing. She doesn't dance. She wasn't born
It's true.
into nobility. She wasn't a royal, like Princess
You know what?
Diana. She
It's something even bigger than that, though, I think. Unless, do you have more to say?
Well, I was good. Well, and I want because I kind of want to defend like the Princess Diana thing because some people are like, well, she doesn't have a talent either. Yes, she did, and that's she went beyond. Her talent was truly connecting with people. Her talent was like radiating empathy and love and kindness, even though she was someone who typically you are isolated. You're on the shelf. You're supposed to be radiating this regal kind of removed care for your people, but not actual true care and empathy. And that's why the royal family kind of had an issue with her because she made them look bad because they're also supposed to be radiating this kindness and care, but they can't actually properly perform it because who they truly are is someone who is like, I am, on this level. sorry, it's a podcast. You can't see me with my hand movements. I'm elevated. I'm looking, peering down upon you and like, oh no, are you okay? I'm sending you my love and care and attention. Where she's more like getting down on the same level with them, like eye to eye, hugging, touching,
Mhm.
really truly
Yeah.
caring. So I mean, I'm on a whole tangent, but Princess Diana is it considered still an icon just because she was royalty or nobility or because supposedly she's so beautiful and she's fashionable? It's because she just radiate, she's oh, maybe we should do a whole oh gosh, but it's called toxic. We
Well,
can't do something on her. I'm on a tangent.
do what
Point
I'm
is,
saying. Sure.
Kim is not going to because she's not there's no talent. I don't think anyone's going to be talking about her 50 or 100 years after she died the way you would Marilyn Monroe. So I think she's trying to put herself on par with them and also maybe kind of suck some of their like residual glow and life energy and status. I don't know. Something's there, but I don't know exactly what it is. Or maybe I'm reading too much into it and she's just a fan. What do you think?
Well, I actually think I have I don't know, another possible answer for the first part of it, which would be it's not just what you just said, it's also that she's not creating anything. Not really. And it's kind of goes back to what old Teddy Roosevelt was saying, right? Like not necessarily that she's a critic, but more like it's the doer that does something that's worth being memorable. And she's not actually creating anything. And so what that also means, the reason why she won't be remembered 150 years is there's no body of work to point to. And
That's so
you could say
brilliant.
kind of the same thing with, yeah, right. But you could say kind of the same thing with Princess Di, except it's also the contention with it that that she lived in that made it remarkable what she did. What she did was remarkable, right? Like how kind she was, and with the landmines and the like AIDS patients, and just like always bridging that gap. But the reason there was a gap is because she was already elevated.
Ah, yes, that's such a good
So
point.
so
Hmm.
so it's remarkable, and that's why it's going to go down in history because there was that contrast. But there's no context around Kim, and I think she's actually doing some wonderful things with like trying to be a lawyer, and even before getting her lottery, which I think she's still working toward. We're about to take the bar. I can't remember where she is with that. But she, has been trying to free prisoners, and that is really great work. But she doesn't have the same sort of contrast that's going to make it remarkable.
Right. And her
It's
only body of work will be showing her body and
her
photos
body.
and I guess building businesses. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yes, this is yeah. Those are some of the reasons. So that she probably won't go down in history as something major because there's really not much to point to. But it does maybe start to explain why she seems to like collecting things from the mega famous celebrities, people who will be famous for long, long after we're gone.
Because they were
Maybe who knows?
creators. Yeah, because
Right.
Michael Jackson obviously was a creator and Marilyn Monroe, like we forget about that. But no, she was a creator. She was an actress and like and now that we're
Yeah.
removed from it, people can even talk about how smart she was and how talented comedically she was and how
And
it takes a
sweet and
lot of
giving.
brains to pretend to be that stupid or to be that yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And
So
and also a super kind woman. We heard some stories about the ways, she contributed in her ways to the civil rights movement,
oh
in
yeah,
her own
that's right.
little sort of weird, sweet ways, right? Like not looking for praise, like genuinely feeling this is how I can contribute. This is the piece I can give. And you juxtapose that with today, where you kind of have to pull teeth to get Kim to weigh in on a topic sometimes. Like you know, you've got black children. Do you want to say anything about these people? Black people being killed in the streets for no real reason but police, and you got to sort of goad her into it. And like I said, she does do her work with the prison system, and I think she's trying to pull her weight now. But I just think it's interesting that there was a time that there were people who just did the right thing because they did it.
Right. And could do it
Yeah.
quietly. Okay, so is it fair based on just her buying some, memorabilia, very expensive memorabilia? Is that a reason to call this lady toxic? Probably not.
Um.
We've got more.
No. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, she's, Kim's a lot of things. She is a mogul. She's a businesswoman. Like I said, she's studying to become a lawyer. She's no dummy. She's no slouch. obviously to attain what she has, you've got to be a pretty organized, methodical, even mastermind. So then what are the bad things, right? Like,
Okay, so I don't want to get canceled before we even get started, and I'm not against prostitution necessarily, but I mean, she's a prostitute. That's my issue with her. I think that we're living in an increasingly degenerate culture with children looking up to things that are not the best. You know what? That's not. I don't want to say it's not. It's not that prostitution is not the best value, which I don't think it is. But it shouldn't be something necessarily you should aspire to. It's one thing to kind of be put in a position where you're making the best of your life and what you have to offer. It's another thing to be like, I want to be a prostitute, you know? That to
yeah,
me is kind of toxic. And she, I mean, like, now we all know, well, you probably don't know how we feel about Candace Owens, which is another topic for another day. But a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, I thought she had the funniest line about Kim, where she was saying, so her mother brokered her porno tape
the
release,
infamous sex tape that we all know her from.
right? So that means your mother's a pimp and you're a prostitute. I mean, that's kind of what it is.
That's what old Candy said. All right.
I mean, is that fair? Is that a fair assessment?
Here's the thing: it's not true. It was very harsh, but it's not true. You, as you know, I'm no fan of Candace Owens, but she, sometimes has a few things to say that I agree with her that makes sense. But to me, it was ironic that she said that because in my mind, Candace is a prostitute. She's a person who started out with, certain beliefs, and then she realized that she could make a living selling her body, renting her space for to be like a poster girl for a whole other party. So, you know,
Yeah, to pander
really
and
leave it.
yeah, basically
Yeah,
to pander to white conservatives and make them feel good about their racist ideology. So, yeah, we'll just
exactly.
call a
Thank you.
spade a
Thank you for
spade.
saying. There you go.
I didn't
Yes, you
mean it
certainly
that
did.
way,
Oh
but
yeah,
you,
that was okay. Yeah, definitely getting canceled now.
whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think that sure, Candace, you're correct, but maybe see what direction the other fingers are pointing in at
Right.
the same time. So we think that the sort of
The point, you know what it is? I'm not gonna
yeah,
crouch. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of trying to like play nice and be PC and be correct and whatever. You know what? I do not like the pornification of pop culture. Pornography is bad. I don't care what people want to say about, oh, it does this and it does that. Okay, whatever. But as a whole, it's bad. Um, yeah.
okay.
And she is
Okay,
part of
and
the
how does she contribute to this?
because how she got famous was showing her body everywhere and being naked everywhere and also brokering a deal for her sex tape. That's
I
porno.
know, right?
When you have sex on video and then you sell it, that is being a prostitute and a
And the
pornographer.
pornographer. Okay, I mean, I can't
I
actually
mean,
argue with you there, but well, I don't know if there's a rebuttal for that. I mean, look, those are the facts. That is what is true. And but so you're saying that that contributes to the downfall of society if she's this is how she made it. Not that she's necessarily promoting it, but kind of because
yeah.
at some point she would, yeah, yeah.
Did you send me some crazy video of like all these parents talking terribly, and I did not think it was cute, about
Oh
their
yeah.
like 20-year-old and 25-year-old children and like videotaping them like what are they doing? And they're all like doing TikTok dances and trying like ring lights and why to talk about
Yes.
people with ring lights and
Yeah.
doing YouTube stuff. But anyway, like there's this whole
Yeah,
so
it was a
many
trend a
people
few
in their
months ago.
20s. Well, no, people want to get famous on social media, on YouTube. Because people have been able to do it. You can become famous by being on social media. Like even look at someone like Issa Rae. You can do it. It is a legitimate path to like money and success and popularity. And Kim is one of the first ones who did this. I'm not saying she was on social media or YouTube, but she became famous by putting herself out there, by taking photos of herself, by hiring people to take photos of herself, and then pushing them out there in the world. And now she's a powerful influencer, and so many other people want that same life. And since she's done it, they think they can do it. But also, they're
Mm,
forgetting what catapulted her popularity was this porno tape. And also, they're also forgetting that she came from a place of extreme privilege. She already had the contacts. She was already in the zeitgeist. She was, like, I don't know.
yeah.
She's
Well,
not an example to aspire to, people. That's my issue. Like,
okay. Unfortunately, everything you just said, I just kept thinking, wow, she's a bleeping pioneer. Because it's pretty amazing when you think about it, the trajectory of her life. I mean, truly. But you are right. She did start in privilege, and she did get here how she got here. So we've got sort of prostitution in general, right? Showing her body, making money off her body, and contributing to a pornographic society. Yeah, those are pretty heavy indictments.
yeah, I mean, it's toxic. That's, yeah, that's, I
It
mean,
is. It does seem toxic. There's so much more to talk about with with Kim, though, isn't there?
oh my gosh, we've got cosplaying black. We've got, what else? Gosh, there is more. I can't remember.
Oh, the denial of plastic surgery.
Oh yeah, there's
You
that.
know,
Oh, the Balenciaga thing. I'm not even pronouncing that right, am I? Okay, your French is
sure.
so much better than mine. So what's the
It's Balenciaga because it's
Balenciaga?
Spanish anyway. But yes, Balenciaga.
Oh yeah, that's right. Funny. Um,
Um, yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
many things, so many more things. I don't think we should cram it all in here. It's
No.
enough. Please. I think the question to take home to yourself is, yeah, does Kim Kardashian contribute to like a pornographic
Culture.
prostitution culture?
Hmm. And
Does,
degeneracy.
is there good that can come from that? Is it good and bad? Like, how do you
Right.
feel about her?
Yeah, and how do you feel about our critique of her? Because as you pointed out, and we'll talk about probably more of this in part two, is like, okay, why are we policing women and their bodies? Why are we blaming just women for the, like, what about
That's right.
my body, my choice? Let me display it how I want. Let me be free. Like, what about being
Yes.
free?
Hashtag whole life.